Hi, this is Michael Lutz from Ocean of Minds Media House. I'm here at the Frankfurt Book Fair 2018 together with Howard Aster. Hi.
Hello.
Howard, you are the publisher of Mosaic Press. Please tell us something about your publishing house.
Be a pleasure. The company name is Mosaic Press, and we've been in business for 42 years. We've published over 600 books, and we publish both fiction and non-fiction. And our major market, we develop books in Canada, and our major market is both the United States, Britain, Canada, of course, and we sell a lot of rights internationally. We come to the Frankfurt Book Fair every year for the past 25 years, and Frankfurt Book Fair has helped us build our company to where it's successful. We also attend the London Book Fair and the Guadalajara Book Fair in Mexico because for us, a good book should be sold internationally, and we think our books are very, very good, so we try to sell rights or licenses for many of our books to the international market. An example of how we work is we have a Canadian author with a book which was about the Reichsorchestra during the Third Reich. The Reichsorchestra is the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra. There had never been a book written about the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra from 1933 to 1945. It took a young Canadian to get interested in the topic. He wrote the book, and we sold the rights to DVA, but it was for Ziedler who published it. And then this book we published in English, and we sold the rights in 7 languages now: Japan, French, Spanish, Britain, Japan. A documentary film was made. So what we do is we try to find good books which have an international market. I always say good books have feet. What they're able to do is travel from one culture to another. We're based just outside of Toronto, and we publish about 15 to 20 titles each year. And we like fiction because the talent is there, and we like young writers who are able to grow with us or to go on much further. So, for example, this was his first book. There's a second book, also on a German topic, and it was Daniel Barenboim who wanted that book published, and it was just released this year.
The Conductor.
Yes, it's about the Staatsoper. Yeah. It's a 600-page book, published in German first, but written in English, and we're going to publish the English.
How do you find your authors? Do you look by yourself, or do you get some authors from agencies, or does authors come to you?
Very, very good question. The publishing industry in Canada, like everywhere, I'm not sure about Europe, but publishing industry in Canada, like the United States, now has intermediaries who are the literary agents. It's interesting, historically, the great publishing houses always were based upon an individual who had a vision about what should be published. And they used to carry the name of individuals. You go to Britain, it was Calder, it was Weidenfeld, and so on. And the United States was the same thing. That's changed dramatically because the editors now are diminished in importance because those major independent publishers were bought by large companies. Large companies are run by accountants, not by publishers or editors. So the literary agents now function as almost editors. What's happened is that writers invariably cannot approach a publisher directly any longer because publishers won't even talk to them. So they go to literary agents. If you go upstairs here to 6 Point, the Right Center, hundreds, it's like thousands of people just talking. None of them know literature, none of them are publishers, but they all know what the market is, and they're all looking for the same type of book. This year it's this year it's this year it's that. We don't work that way. My colleagues actually are willing to talk to literary agents. I don't. I refuse to talk to them because I think they're they're looking for what sells in the marketplace. Authors are authors. They're creative people. I love talking to authors. The answer to your immediate question is, we have a tradition at Mosaic Press where we read manuscripts which are submitted by authors, which puts a huge burden on us, but we try to read as much as possible. We know more or less what we're not interested in, so it was easy for us to say no to this, and then we try to read everything very, very carefully. So first-time authors are welcome. What happens is, at least in Canada, I think it's true in many other countries, authors go to publishing houses where they've read the books the publishing house has published. So authors look for publishers of a certain reputation. They now, with the internet, it's easy to find out what publishers publish. So authors will come to us directly. So it's by recommendation, by reputation. So number one is an open door. Number two is good recommendations. And number three is good reputation. Everybody has a book to be written. And a lot of people now are writing an awful lot. So we never have the lack of talent. I mean, we're overwhelmed by good talent.
Okay, you started 42 years ago. In the meantime, we are right now in a digital revolution. Print on demand, ebook, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. What do you think about this new technical decade?
It's a wonderful question. As a publisher, you always have to adjust yourself for survival. So as a publisher, we publish simultaneously print books and ebooks. If magically there'd be, I was just joking with someone today, I think the next stage is totally disposable books. As soon as you read the last page, it disappears. If that happens, we'll still be in business. So as a publisher, you have to adjust to reality. Has it changed reading habits? Are people behaving differently to the print book than in the past? And the answer is yes. It's more and more difficult for a book publisher to find the right readership. And it can be done. It takes a lot of work because it's all becoming niched. Print books won't disappear. It's like when television appeared, people thought the radio was dead. Well, the radio reinvented itself, and it's still there today. I think that's the same thing true. It's a smaller audience, a more niched audience, but the intelligent publishers have to seek them out and find out what they're willing to read. And then to exercise, I think, also intelligence, publishers, not to give up on good values. If you publish a book of poetry, you know you're not going to sell a lot of copies, but there are people who still read poetry. Who are they? How do you get to them is the issue. In Canada, for example, we still publish 6 to 8 books of poetry a year. Bookstores won't take the books. If you walk into a bookstore with a book of poetry, they tell you we can't do anything. But more people are reading poetry now than ever before because the poets are public figures now. They read everywhere. There's reading everywhere. So you've got to reinvent yourself. And the visual world and the oral world are stronger now than ever before. And books have to absorb those strategies to be successful.
And what is your strategy depending to marketing? How do you make marketing?
Again, it has to be a varied approach. You have the traditional marketing strategy, which is you go into a bookseller and you try to get them interested in your books. More and more booksellers don't want to see sales representatives and don't want print catalogs, although some of them do. So you've got to find a different way to approach them. You've got to find out what they sell. Not all bookstores can carry all books, so you have to be more strategic in terms of approaching a bookseller with a particular book which you may or may not have, but you can only ask them to sell what they know what they can do. So you have to be much more knowledgeable, and the research in terms of how to sell a book is much more difficult today than ever before. But that's the job of a publisher. That's what we have to do.
Okay, last question. What is your outlook, let's say, for the next 5 to 10 years, selling books in Canada, US, UK, and international? What do you think, what will happen, which direction will the book branch go in the next years?
It's another good question, and you want me to be pessimistic or optimistic?
It's up to you.
I can be both. I'm very pessimistic about how many people are really interested in serious literature. And then I look back at maybe the 16th, 17th, 18th century, and I say to myself, oh, things were much more difficult there in terms of literature. But good books, good literature survives. So it's as a publisher, it's always worth finding good books, literary books, which you believe in, and you believe say something about the human condition, which can last the test of time. Having said that, there's the world. Our world is a world of disposability. You know, we change shoes every 6 months. We change chewing gum every 3 minutes. So there are books which fill that need as well, that niche as well. There's room in the book publishing world for both chewing gum books and literary books. And as a publisher, if you want to not go bankrupt, you have to find a fine balance between the two. Is it difficult to do? Yeah, of course it's difficult to do, but it's not worth giving up on literary books or poetry or so-called books that don't sell very well. It's part of the business and the mission of publishing is to publish books that can last the test of time. And the technologies change, but we can absorb, as publishers, we absorb the technologies. So digital publishing is real. So we release our books simultaneously as print books and as e-books. Libraries are changing. So e-books now dominate the North American library market because it's less expensive. So you have to say, okay, if that happens, the return for a publisher is not great on e-books, but at the same time, we have to do them because we have to reach the audience. So again, we absorb the technologies, and there's benefits to doing that as well. So I'm pessimistic and optimistic at the same time. It's a good way to live. Not too pessimistic, not too optimistic.
Okay, thanks a lot for your time. Thank you very much.
My great pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, Michael Lutz, Social of Mainz Media House, Frankfurt Book Fair 2018. See you later.